in this next part of navigating in Microsoft Project 2013, we're going to take a look at the task usage view. Looking at our navigation overview to find the right information in Microsoft Project, we're still working on the left-hand side of the navigation chart, which is task-based information. We've already explored looking at the Gantt chart without assignments. We've explored looking at the Gantt chart with assignments. And now we want to go look at task-based information with assignments, but also spread over time. This is an example where somebody might say, how are our resources spread across the tasks or across the project? By day, by week, by month, by quarter, by year. In this case, it says that we look at the task usage view, and it also says we're going to refer to note number 1. In this case, note number 1 is going to take up 2 slides. So let's look at the first part of note number 1. And because this has a vertical split, we're going to look at the left side of the divider. Similar to the Gantt chart, if we're not seeing the columns we want to see, we're going to apply tables or insert columns. On the right-hand side, we're going to see time-scale data. So we're going to be able to zoom in and zoom out on the time scale. We're also going to be able to look at different fields. We're going to see work by default, but we may want to see actual work. We may want to see cost-based information, or many of the other usage-based time-phase fields that are available to us. We're also going to look at, is the data in the time scale appearing on the screen at all? So sometimes we're going to see time scale data where there's no data there, so we're going to use the go to scroll to the task that has the information on it. And in the lower pane, if we're not seeing what we want to see, we're going to right mouse click and split. So this is also a view that can be split. Let's go into Microsoft Project and explore what we're looking at. So if I want to go to task usage view, I can click simply on the task usage icon. I can scroll to the top here. And what I'm seeing in the task usage view is the work breakdown structure similar to what I would see in the Gantt chart. But underneath each task, we're now seeing the assignments. Okay, so the first question we said we would ask in note number 1 is, am I seeing what I want to see on the left side of the divider? So let's say, for example, I wanted to see work-based fields. On the left side of the divider, I'm seeing the work field, but I'm not seeing all the work-based fields. So I could click on View, Tables, Work, and that would show me all of the work-based fields. The other note that we have here is on the right side of the divider. I can zoom in or zoom out, or I can right mouse click anywhere. So zoom in, zoom out has to do with the time scale. So we see here, there's a zoom in, zoom out capability. Okay, so if I zoom out, it goes to every 3 days. If I zoom out again, it goes to every week. So now we've gone from a daily time scale to a weekly time scale. The other thing I can do is I can hit the drop down here and say I want to look at months, for example. I want to look at quarters. I want to go back to days. Okay, the second note here says right mouse click anywhere in the grid to see a short list of display options. Okay, and now note, before I do that, note that the data I was looking at has gone away. So I can try to scroll back and forth to find it. Okay, which works just fine. But sometimes the work may be spread over a large period of time. So the next note on slide 18 tells me when I click on task editing, I can click the scroll to task icon. Let's look at that. So if my timescale data is not showing anything, I can click on the task ribbon, and I have a scroll to task button out to the right here, all the way up top right. So when I click on that, it shifts the next available information in the timescale onto my screen. To the previous note we were talking about, right mouse click anywhere in the grid area to see a short list of display options. What if I wanted to see actual work? I could remove the work by right mouse click and check. Right mouse click and bring the actual work. In this case, there is no actual work. Okay, or I can choose detail styles and see a whole host of things. What if I wanted to see what percentage of my resources are allocated? So if I wanted to see something called percent allocation, I can show that. I can hide the work. and say OK. And now I see percent allocations. What if I wanted to see percent allocations by phase? I have the ability to expand or collapse information. On the View tab, when I choose Select All, I have this option to hide all subtasks. Now in this case, it's going to hide everything under the project. When I click the little arrow, it shows me the phases. Within the phases, the tasks, and within the tasks, the assignments. I also mentioned you can split the screen. Okay, one of the things you might want to do when you split your screen is to show a different view. If I right mouse click on this view on the left, I get a list of views. What if I wanted to see task usage on top and Gantt chart down below? Now it shows me only the task I'm clicked on, because the bottom pane is called slave to the top. Okay, so I'm only going to see what I'm clicked on in top in the bottom pane. If I drag my divider all the way to the top, the bottom pane becomes the top pane. If I now click my divider again, my blind, and I lift it up, I can now right mouse click and put task usage on the bottom. Now I have an interesting view. It shows me allocation of my resources across each of the tasks. Okay. When I'm clicked in the bottom pane, some of my buttons become inactive. You notice my zoom out button is not active, although I can drop it down here. But notice it's not responding. Okay, so sometimes I have to activate the top pane to get my commands to work. And there's a monthly scale. So again, what we did was we started with task-based information with assignments spread over time, and we went to the task usage view. When we got to the task usage view, we found sometimes the columns on the left aren't showing us what we want to see. We found that sometimes the time scales and the fields showing on the right are not correct. So these are all the notes that we need to be able to navigate through this pane. In our next series, we'll start looking at resource-based information.